The phone call came on a summer day in 2001, a day that began like any other, with sunlight streaming through the blinds and the gentle hum of city life outside my window. I remember the way the air felt, thick with the promise of another ordinary day, the kind where nothing remarkable is supposed to happen. But as the phone rang, slicing through the stillness, I sensed that everything was about to change. The sound was jarring, shattering the calm of my San Francisco life. In that moment, the city's familiar rhythm, cars passing, distant laughter, the clink of dishes from a neighbor's kitchen, faded into the background. All that remained was the insistent ring, echoing through the apartment like a warning bell. On the other end was Rahim Khan. His frail voice, weathered by years and distance, carried a weight I hadn't felt in decades. "There is a way to be good again," he said, his words deliberate, almost reverent. In that instant, it was as if time folded in on itself, and I was no longer just a man in America. I was a boy again, standing in the shadow of my own choices. Instantly, the ghosts I'd spent 20 years outrunning returned, swirling around me with relentless force. My wife, Soraya, noticed the change immediately. She watched me from across the room, her eyes searching for answers I couldn't give. The phone felt cold and heavy in my hand, a direct link to a world I'd tried so hard to leave behind. Images flashed before me, the dusty streets of Kabul, the vibrant colors of kites soaring against a winter sky, the laughter and secrets of childhood friends. All of it, suddenly, unbearably close. How could I explain to Soraya that my American life, the one we'd built together, was founded on a lie, a cowardice I'd never confessed? The memory of a winter day in 1975 haunted me, a boy with a hair lip, his trust in me, and my own silence when it mattered most. That day had shaped everything that followed, casting a shadow over every achievement, every moment of happiness. I had tried to bury it beneath new beginnings, but it had never truly left me. Now, the past was calling me back, demanding a reckoning I could no longer avoid. I had left Afghanistan behind, its mountains, its chaos, its heartbreak, but Afghanistan had never left me. It lingered in my dreams, in the way I flinched at certain sounds, in the ache that surfaced every time I saw a kite in the sky. The distance between my old life and my new one suddenly felt paper-thin, as if a single word could tear it all apart. Rahim Khan's words were a wrecking ball, crashing through the walls I'd built around my heart. They exposed the frightened boy I still was, the one who had run instead of standing up, who had chosen silence over courage. His call wasn't just an invitation to return, it was a summons, a demand that I finally faced the truth I'd spent a lifetime avoiding. There was a way to be good again. The words echoed in my mind, both a promise and a challenge. But the question lingered, heavy and unspoken. Did I have the courage to take it? Could I finally confront the past, make amends, and find redemption? Not just for myself, but for those I had failed? As the city awoke around me, I stood at the threshold of a choice that would define the rest of my life. Before the betrayal, there was a friendship as vast as the Kabul sky. Hassan, the servant's son, was my loyal companion, my brother in all but name. We grew up together, inseparable, flying kites and reading stories under the pomegranate tree. Baba, my father, was a force of nature, his affection for Hassan a mystery that planted jealousy in my heart. The winter of 1975 brought the kite-fighting tournament, a chance for glory and Baba's approval. Hassan, the best kite runner in Kabul, believed in me with unwavering faith. "For you, 1,000 times over," he'd say. But cracks were forming. Asef, the neighborhood bully, was a constant threat. I was a boy chasing a kite, blind to the storm gathering on the horizon. The day of the tournament was a blur of color and adrenaline. The sky above Kabul was alive with hundreds of kites, each one a splash of color against the winter blue. The city seemed to hold its breath, every rooftop crowded with hopeful faces, every alley echoing with laughter and shouts. For a moment, the troubles of the world faded, replaced by the simple joy of flight and competition. The air was electric, charged with excitement and the promise of glory. With Hassan by my side, we cut kite after kite, our blue kite soaring higher with every victory. Each time our string sliced through another, cheers erupted from the rooftops. Hassan's hands were steady, his eyes never leaving the sky, his faith in me unwavering. Together, we were unstoppable, a perfect team, bound by friendship and a shared dream. The blue kite became a symbol of our hope, dancing above the city, defying the wind and every challenger. The final battle was tense, the air thick with anticipation. My heart pounded as we faced our last opponent, the crowd's roar fading into a distant hum. With a final, decisive tug, our blue kite triumphed. I had done it. Baba was proud, his eyes shining with a pride I had longed for my entire life. In that moment, I felt invincible, as if all my dreams had come true. It was everything I'd ever wanted, the approval I'd chased for so long. Hassan, ever loyal, ran to fetch the last fallen kite, the ultimate prize, the trophy of our victory. He darted through the winding alleys, his determination clear. That kite was more than just a piece of paper and string. It was his gift to me, a symbol of our friendship and the lengths he would go for me. I watched him disappear, trusting that he would return, as he always did. As I waited, unease crept in, slowly at first, then growing stronger with every passing minute. The street felt colder, the shadows longer. He should have been back by now. My excitement faded, replaced by a gnawing worry I couldn't shake. The silence around me grew heavy, pressing in from all sides. Deep down, I knew who he might have run into. Asef. The thought sent a chill through me. Asef was trouble, a force of cruelty I had always feared. The possibility that Hassan was alone with him filled me with dread, my mind racing with terrible possibilities. I started running, my heart pounding in my chest, feet pounding the dusty streets. Each step felt heavier than the last, the city blurring around me as I raced toward the unknown. Fear and guilt tangled inside me, urging me forward even as I wished I could turn back. I was running toward a moment that would divide my life in two, the boy I was before and the man I would become after. In that instant, I sensed that nothing would ever be the same. The choices I made in the next few minutes would echo through the rest of my life, shaping who I would become. Victory was mine, but perfection is fragile. The taste of triumph was already turning bitter, the cost of my success becoming painfully clear. The blue kite, once a symbol of hope, now seemed to drift alone, a reminder that every victory comes with a price. The weight stretched on, each second dragging by, dread tightening in my stomach like a knot. I clung to the kite spool, my knuckles white, wishing I could rewind time, desperate for Hassan's safe return. The world felt suspended, caught between joy and fear. I was about to pay the price for my triumph. In that shadowy alley, with fear in my heart and the weight of my choices pressing down on me, I realized that some victories demand more than we ever imagined, and sometimes, what we win can cost us everything we hold dear. I found Hassan in a desolate alley, cornered by Asef and his cronies. Hassan clutched the blue kite, my trophy. Asef wanted the kite, but it was about power, not the prize. Hassan stood his ground, terrified but loyal. I watched, frozen, hidden behind a wall. Every instinct screamed to help, but cowardice held me in place. I was a spectator to my own damnation. I watched as they committed an act of unspeakable violence. 2 boys were violated, Hassan in body, me in spirit. When it was over, I ran, leaving him behind in that alley of shadows. The monster wasn't just in the alley anymore, it was inside me. That moment would haunt me for the rest of my life. I had betrayed my brother. The days that followed were a nightmare. Hassan moved like a ghost, his light gone. Guilt consumed me. I couldn't face him. Desperate to escape my own shame, I framed Hassan for theft. Baba confronted him. Hassan, loyal as ever, confessed to a crime he didn't commit. Baba forgave him, but Ali, knowing the truth, decided they would leave. As they walked away, rain fell, nature mourning my betrayal. I had gotten what I wanted. Hassan was gone. But I had never felt more alone. The silence in our house was deafening. My victory was hollow. Years later, Soviet tanks rolled into Kabul, and my world was torn apart. Baba and I fled, packed into a truck with other refugees, escaping in terror. Baba, once a giant, was now just another frightened man. In America, he worked at a gas station. I thrived, became a writer, married Soraya. Our life was a gilded cage, beautiful, but I was a prisoner of my past. I told myself I had escaped, but the past clung to me. Then the phone rang. Rahim Khan was calling. The key to my locked memories was in his hand. The cage was about to be broken open. The flight to Peshawar felt like a journey back in time. Rahim Khan, frail and dying, had a story to tell. He revealed the truth. Hassan was my half-brother, Baba's son. The guilt I carried was magnified 1,000 times. Worse, Hassan and his wife had been executed by the Taliban for refusing to give up our house. Hassan's son, Sohrab, was now an orphan in Kabul. Rahim Khan pleaded, "You have to bring him back." I could return to my safe life or finally do the right thing. The road to Kabul was my only road to redemption. This was my chance to be good again. I had to face the city, and my past. Kabul was a ghost town, ruled by the Taliban. With my guide Farid, I searched orphanages for Sohrab. The truth emerged. A Taliban official had taken him. At a soccer match, I saw him. Asef, the monster from my childhood. He had Sohrab. The confrontation I'd avoided my whole life was now unavoidable. Asef offered a deal. I could have Sohrab if I survived a beating. He put on his brass knuckles and attacked. As pain exploded through me, I felt a strange sense of healing. Just as I was about to lose consciousness, Sohrab used his father's slingshot, striking Asef. In the chaos we escaped, I had finally faced my monster. Redemption had a price. Our escape from Kabul was desperate. The city, once familiar, had become a maze of fear and uncertainty. Every street corner held the threat of violence, every shadow a reminder of what we were leaving behind. We moved quickly, hearts pounding, clutching each other as we navigated the chaos. The border crossing at dusk was a blur of anxious faces and hurried whispers, a sea of people all searching for safety, for hope, for a chance at a new life. In those frantic moments, I realized how fragile our existence had become, and how much depended on our ability to keep moving forward, no matter the cost. Sohrab, traumatized, withdrew into silence. The boy who had once laughed and played now sat alone, his eyes distant, his spirit dimmed by the weight of all he had endured. He barely spoke, his words lost somewhere deep inside, unreachable even to those who loved him most. I watched him stare blankly out the window, lost in thoughts too heavy for a child to carry. His silence was a constant reminder of the pain we could not erase, the wounds that would take more than time to heal. The adoption process was a nightmare. Hope faded. Endless forms, interviews, and waiting rooms drained us. Each day brought new obstacles, questions we couldn't answer, documents we struggled to obtain. The bureaucracy felt cold and indifferent, as if our desperation was just another file in a stack. We sat for hours in sterile offices, surrounded by other families clinging to hope, all of us united by uncertainty. With every setback, the dream of giving Sohrab a home seemed to slip further away, and I feared we might lose him forever. When I told Sohrab he might return to an orphanage, he tried to take his own life. The memory of that night haunts me. The sterile smell of the hospital, the beeping machines, the cold fear that gripped my heart as I watched him lying motionless in the bed. I held his hand, desperate to reach him, to let him know he was not alone. The pain in his eyes was unbearable, a silent scream for help that I had failed to hear until it was almost too late. Guilt crushed me. I had failed him as I'd failed his father. The weight of my mistakes pressed down on me, memories of broken promises and missed chances replaying in my mind. I saw Hassan's face in old photographs, remembered the loyalty I had betrayed, and wondered if I was doomed to repeat the same failures. Alone in the darkness, I questioned whether I could ever make things right, or if redemption was forever out of reach. With Soraya's help, we brought him to America, but the silence continued. The journey was long and exhausting, but finally, we arrived in a new land, carrying our hopes and fears with us. The promise of safety and a fresh start was real, yet Sohrab remained withdrawn, his pain following us across continents. Our new home was filled with unfamiliar sights and sounds, but the emptiness between us lingered, a silent barrier we struggled to cross. Months passed in quiet strain. Our days were marked by routine, meals eaten in silence, evenings spent in separate rooms, each of us lost in our own thoughts. The house felt heavy, as if the walls themselves absorbed our sorrow. I tried to reach Sohrab, to offer comfort, but he remained distant, his trust shattered. Soraya and I clung to each other, hoping that time would heal, but the wounds ran deep. One day, at a park, I bought a kite and showed Sohrab an old trick. The sky was clear, the breeze gentle, a perfect day for flying. I remembered the joy of my own childhood, the freedom of running with a kite soaring above. I hoped, in that simple act, to share a piece of happiness with Sohrab, to remind him that joy was still possible, even after so much pain. I knelt beside him, showing him how to hold the string, how to feel the wind, how to let go. For the first time he smiled. It was a small, tentative smile, but it lit up his face and filled my heart with hope. In that moment, I saw a glimmer of the boy he could become, the boy he might have been if not for all the suffering. His smile was a fragile promise, a sign that healing was possible, that love could still reach him. We flew the kite together, and I asked, "Do you want me to run that kite for you?" He nodded. The simple act of running, of feeling the wind tug at the string, became a bridge between us. We laughed, breathless and free, as the kite danced in the sky. For the first time, we were not defined by our past, but by the hope of what we could build together. "For you, 1,000 times over," I said, running, not from my past but toward a future. Each step was a promise, a vow to never abandon him, to always choose love and courage over regret. The wind carried the kite higher, and with it, my resolve to be the father Sohrab deserved. It was a new beginning, a way to be good again. As the sun rose over the park, I felt the weight of guilt begin to lift, replaced by hope. Together we walked into the light, ready to face whatever came next, knowing that redemption is found not in grand gestures, but in the quiet moments of love and forgiveness.